I think we're on.
Okay, folks, I think we're ready to get going. I'd like to welcome you to a public hearing of the Page Unified School District. On July the 14th, we'll begin the public hearing at 5:02. And just again, welcome to everybody. Let's have a roll call, starting with Sandra Kidman.
Sandra Kidman.
Dee just called in. Dee didn't unmute. So Dee didn't while she was here. Next.
Ed Franklin.
Thank you.
Desiree Feller.
Okay, perfect. And we've got Lynn Hoffman. And I believe for the first time officially, we want to welcome Larry Wallen for his first board meeting.
Thank you.
All right, good to see you. All right, let's go ahead and approve the agenda. It's an action item. I'll need a motion and a second, please.
Make a motion to accept the hearing agenda.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. First item on the public agenda is presentation of expenditure budget for 2020-21. And it's Bindi. You're up.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, governing board members, today I'm going to share my screen with you here. Sorry. We're going to look at our adopted budget for fiscal year 2021. Sorry. Right here. First, we have our general budget limit. It remained the same from our proposed budget to the adopted. We are at the 17,733,976. We still have estimated our budget balance carry forward at $1 million. We stayed conservative. And Ms. Kidman had asked the question of how come we are at $1 million compared to the 1.9 we've carried forward previously. Just the other day when Mr. Wallen and I sat, we saw our actual expenditures and then what we are carrying forward for fiscal year 21 is it will pretty closely be close to this $1.9 million. Even though we're making a conservative estimate here, when we finalize our annual financial report for fiscal year 20, you will see that we are carrying forward really about $1.9 million. Here we're just showing the distribution again. And I know this is what Ms. B. McCary likes to see. I put it up in a pie chart so that it's it gives you a different view of what the fiscal year 20 M&O budget looked like in comparison to what it would be in fiscal year 21. If we go into our impact aid budget, we are from the proposed to the adopted, we still are at $11 million. And the budget balance carry forward here, I showed it in a separate line. So we can see that it's in the impact aid fund, our carry forward, estimated carry forward is $3.1 million approximately. And again, I put this in a pie chart so you can see what the distribution looks like. And there were no changes in the district additional assistance. We are still at estimating a total of $1.4 million for fiscal year 21. And in our expenditure breakdown for the district additional assistance did not change from the proposed to the adopted. In the classroom site fund, we did not make any changes either. It's will remain the same from the proposed to the adopted. We have an available budget balance of $3 million. And in special projects, nothing changed except for the adjacent ways. Dollars, we are estimating to have a budget of $418,420. Here we, with the changes requested, the adjacent waste dollars, tax levy amount will be 100,000, and that brings our primary tax to $3.91. I apologize, I'm just seeing that it should be 2021 primary tax rate, $3.91. That brings us to the end. If you have any questions for me.
Okay, thank you, Vindy. Anybody have any questions for Vindy?
I do, Bob.
Go ahead. Yes, you bet.
Okay, so my question is, why are we budgeting, whoops, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. Why are we budgeting 1.3 million for food services?
So it has been that's what we carried forward over the years in our fund, in the food service fund. So we've always been able to, it's a separate fund from all of the others. So we've always been able to maintain that.
Okay, I can't understand you, I'm sorry. There's a lot of
Somebody's gonna have to
echo
unmute.
going on.
Or somebody's gonna have to mute.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So in the food service budget, we've always been able to maintain that $1.3 million, and it's Fund 510. It separates all the other funds, and that the revenues they generate and the reimbursements we get from the state goes into this fund, and it is basically self-billed throughout the year. So we have always been able to maintain that $1.3 million in there, because we pretty much bring in what we spend there.
Okay, well, because does our current food service provider guarantee us a profit?
They did of I want to say probably about 200,000, but with COVID related closure that happened, they were going to come back and renegotiate and do a presentation there. So I'm sorry, I don't have a really good answer for that, why, whether if that happened or not. If Miss Lynn's on, if she can help me here to see if they submitted a revisal for the guarantee. They were supposed to, that's before our previous superintendent ended the contract. They were supposed to have a meeting and negotiate that.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't recall seeing anything of that nature come through, and I don't believe that we've had any, or there were no recent meetings before Rob left with representatives of Chartwell's.
So we will definitely go back. I have a meeting with Art tomorrow. We will definitely touch base on that.
Vindy, one question with regard, just to follow up on that as well. And I do understand the food service is pretty much self-sustaining with
sir.
a guarantee of a profit at the end of the year. With COVID, is state another way, any way pitching in for that as well for schools? Do we
So
get state funds to help that in terms of Chartwell's ability to renegotiate?
So the state will only reimburse us for the meals how depending on how many kids we feed. So there, even though Chartwell is in their contract, negotiated, stated that they're getting $1,000. That's not related to what the state reimbursements are. That's
Okay.
completely separate. And they were trying very hard to negotiate to come out of that guarantee they promised. So the last time I knew, they were meeting with our previous superintendent, and that's with the closure, they kind of stopped there. They did not submit anything, but we will definitely be following up with them.
Okay, can you explain to me why food service is under special product projects?
So even though I titled that as, that's part of the, if you go to our page 5 on the budget,
Mhm.
it's on your, I want to say onto your right.
Page 5, what? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yes, if you go to page 5 of the budget worksheets,
Yep.
it's actually stated, I'm sorry, I'm trying to log in so I can guide you to the right place. It's on page 5. You'll see it's like a to your right. It's right under the 500 projects. It's 510. So
5, 10. Is that really on page 5? I see restricted
sorry.
capital.
I'm sorry, adjacent waste is on page 5. It's page 6. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
Yes.
That's okay. All right, so say that again. It's under where?
Onto your right.
Uh-huh.
Right corner, you'll see under the, you see codes of like 500s. I apologize, let me.
That's 510.
510, exactly, correct.
Oh, mine just will not pull up here. Hold on. Okay, federal projects.
I can also try to pull it up here for you. It's right about here. Page 6, and if you can see my screen now, I'm sharing it with you. It's right by, it's line 9, item 5, and under other funds.
Yeah, we're just seeing your summary. We're not seeing the actual budget.
Oh, where you're not, I'm sorry. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there you go. So this, the line I've highlighted is line 9, and then it's right here. That's, it's called a special projects page, but it's under other funds. So I'm just highlighting in that slide, I'm highlighting what's important in this sheet. Ms. Kidman, can you see?
No, I still can't see it because my screen, I'm sorry. So you said, oh, there it is. Okay, I got it now. Thank you. Okay, good.
You're welcome. Okay.
Did you have any follow-up, Sandra? Are we okay?
Yeah, we're good. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
You're
And
welcome.
again, just with any other questions? Well, just one more on the food service. So the action item is that at some point in time, Chartwell will meet with you and Mr. Wallen?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions on the budget? Okay, let's go ahead and move on to, thank you, Vindy. Appreciate that.
I appreciate you.
And don't go anywhere, okay?
I-
You got the whole meeting this evening.
Yes, sir.
Okay, item B, truth and taxation hearing, notice of tax increase. Vindy.
Okay. So here, all I have to share is that so when we proposed, we we proposed that adjacent waste tax levy to be at 500,000, but with the adopted budget, we've made the adjustment for it to be brought down to 100,000. That changed the budget, changed the primary tax rate that we're proposing to be at $3.91 in comparison to the $38 that we've proposed before.
Okay, say that once again, because you had it on the summary, correct?
Yes, let me share that screen
Let's
again.
do that, because I thought I'd heard something a little bit different than what you shared, but it's back here on the summary.
Yes, so right here. So right here. So, oh, I'm sorry. So
You had it, there it is.
there it is.
You're making me dizzy here, Vindy.
I'm sorry. Okay, there it is. So to calculate the tax rate for the year, proposed tax rate would be, we use the assessed valuation for the district and the SRP net valuation. So equalization base tax rate would be $3.06, and the tax rate for the difference in the TSL and the TRCL is 18 cents, and for adjacent waste with the 100,000 we have proposed, it's at 6 cents. And that brings our primary tax rate total to $3.91.
That was is that the one proposed for 2021?
Yes, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
and primary tax rate is the 2019 should properly be 2020?
Sorry. So in this slide, I just realized that $3.91, and under there, it should be 2021 primary tax rate. And we're just comparing it to what it was in 19, $3.98.
Okay,
So when you say $3.98 on how much of property value?
Ms. Kidman, I will have to get you that number. I do not have it right now. For last year, then you were talking about the last year's tax rate. $3.
No, I'm talking about next year.
$3.
So what's the average adjacent way tax going to be for a home in Page that's valued at $300,000?
So that would be, let me share this screen with you. It would be so $8 times, so for $100,000 house, it would be $8. If you times
Okay,
3,
so
yes,
about $25.
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
any other questions?
The only question I have, Wendy, once again, the reason for the increase again, please?
So increase in the tax.
Yes.
So actually, if you look at it in comparison right here, you'll see in my cover page, in comparison to last fiscal year 2020, which was $3.98, and
Okay.
in 21, it's $3.91.
So we're actually going down. Good. Okay.
No, we're going up.
From Ms. Kidman, it was in fiscal year 20, is with $3.98, and now estimated tax rate, primary tax rate for fiscal year 21, it's $3.91. We are going down overall. And the tax rate is down, is what that's showing. Because last year we did not adjust for adjacent waste. So that is not the primary reason. That component varies with a lot of other factors. Are you in agreement that it's going down?
No, there's a difference though between the primary tax rate and adjacent ways.
True, but it is that is the so if you go back to my slide here, I apologize. This should be 21 and this should be 2020. So if we go back here, we're using all these three components here: equalization base and the TRCL difference, adjacent base. All of those components will help us make the $3.91. Is that, are we is that okay? Like, are you understanding what I'm saying, or should
No,
I?
I understand what you're saying, but but we're actually doubling the amount of money that we're collecting for adjacent ways. So in the past, we've always collected $50,000 a
Right.
year, and now we're collecting $100,000 a year. In some years, we didn't collect it at all because there was a failure to fill out the paperwork. So I thought Mr. Ed was asking why we're collecting adjacent ways. That's what I thought he said, but maybe I misunderstood him.
So, sorry, he was just kind of noting, oh, we're still even though we are adding adjacent ways, our tax rate overall is less than what it was last year.
Okay, okay, sorry. I misunderstood what the question was.
No, not a problem. I was just, it was the primary tax. That's,
Thank you for the questions. I appreciate it.
Okay, Ms. Kidman, are we good?
Yep.
All right, Mr. Franklin, we got a thumbs up. Vindy, any other questions for Vindy? Vindy, thank you so much.
Thank you,
And
sir.
thanks for taking us to this. And it's never a bad deal when taxes go down.
Right.
So all of you running for election, no, never mind. All right, let's see, next thing on the agenda, no public comments and a call to adjourn the public hearing. We will adjourn at let's see what the time is, 5:25. And from that, we'll go right into our regular meeting, July 14th. And I'd like to welcome everybody joining us. And for those that have come on, I want you to understand that we've chosen to do virtual meeting and keep social distancing. We're using Zoom to conduct our meetings, streaming live to you on YouTube. So welcome. Allows people to view and listen. So keep on doing that. And if you get a thought that you need to convey to the board, we've set up a site you can actually send your comments to. We normally have comments, public call to the public during these meetings. And because we're doing it via the virtual side of it, you can go to comments@pageud.org no later than the Monday by 5:00 p.m. the day before each regular meeting. If you'd like to make a statement or point some things out, understand that this board cannot respond to it because it's not on the agenda, but it gives you an opportunity to make comments if you would like. So again, welcome. And for everything else, we're going to follow all the other board policies. We thank you for your patience as we continue to navigate these waters. And so thank you very much. So we're going to go ahead and start our meeting at 5:26. And we'll start with roll call once again. And would you start us off, Ms. Kidman?
Sandra Kidman?
Ed Franklin.
Desiree Fowler, Board Clerk.
Bob Candelaria and Ms. Lynn Hoffman joining us, the executive assistant to Larry Wallen. Larry, welcome. Again, your first regular meeting. How about a lot of firsts tonight? Are you there?
He's getting reset up. He was having some technical problem. Oh, okay.
I am here. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, well, I just said welcome again. This is your first regular meeting as the official superintendent, and welcome on board.
Thank you.
Get your oars out. We're going to be rowing this boat. All right.
All right.
Okay, well, let's go to the next moment of silent meditation. Just keep up our situation in Northern Arizona for our kids and our community, our stakeholders. I'd ask you to think about that as we take a moment of silence for that. Thank you. And I'm going to put Des Fowler on the spot. Des, are you ready to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? And flag is over your right shoulder.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler.
You're welcome.
Okay. First action item, approval of the agenda. I need a motion and a second, please.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Jess. Dee, you're going to have to unmute when you talk. Unmute.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, you got the second, correct?
Yes.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Good, thank you. Lynn, I assume we don't have any comments? You don't have a card for us or anything like that, correct? No, we do not. Okay. And didn't hear you, but we're good. Moving on to special business. Acknowledgement and approval of donations, and here they are, and we'll need a motion and a second after you hear what they are. Cash in the amount of $350 donated by Cheryl A. Palmer to the McKinney-Vento Backpack Program. Check in the amount of $1,000 donated by Faith Mountain Fellowship Church. That's in New Mexico, by the way, to the McKinney-Vento Backpack Program. This is an action item, motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the donations.
I second that motion.
Okay, thank you. We got a motion and a second. Any comments? Okay, I'd like to really acknowledge, we get a lot of people in the local community donating to McKinney-Vento, a tremendous program. They do a great job. This Faith Mountain Fellowship is actually out of Angel Fire, New Mexico, near Taos. And they just wanted to contribute to a program that was helping on the Navajo reservation. And so I thought that was really of note. So thank you. Thank you very much, Cheryl Palmer. Thank you very much. All right, we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Good. Governing board reports. Let's go around the room. And again, because you're not here, I'll pick on you all the time. Ms. Kidman.
Why do you pick on me?
Because you're just the best one to pick on.
Hey, I'm doing social distancing here. So
Yes, you are.
anyway, I just want to thank everybody who signed my nomination papers these last few weeks. We're not going to have an election this year. We'll only have 3 candidates for 3 positions. So I just want to say thank you.
Welcome back too, by the way.
Yeah, it's going to be my 4th term.
Wow, that's awesome. Pretty soon you get a gold watch.
Yeah, right.
All right, Mrs. McCary, would you like to, do you have a board report?
Just want to say all the materials that we've been getting to read, I'd just like to acknowledge the staff for the hard work, the effort that they put in putting them together and developing a plan on what the students will be working on. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Franklin.
Nothing at this time.
Okay, Ms. Fowler.
I wanted to thank the Litchi chapter officials for inviting myself and Larry Wallen to the Litchi chapter meeting on Monday. which was yesterday. More importantly, I just wanted to say that Larry did a fantastic job giving information about our back to school plan. And there was a lot of concerns that we have heard from the Litchi officials. So that was unique to hear and to collaborate, and that we look forward to working with each of our chapter houses officials to start this partnership and continue for a successful year. And again, thank you to all those who also signed my nomination petition form and appreciate it. So this is going to be my second term. And I also like to announce that Charles Weiss is our third candidate, and I look forward to working with him. And that is it.
Mrs. Fowler, welcome back. You are no longer a rookie. And I only have a couple things to say, and somebody's got their unmute button. Gonna have to unmute, gonna have to mute. But I like to.
Mine's on mute.
You're still active, Dee. I think we're good. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good now. Thank you very much. Well, I'll start over. I'd just like to really acknowledge all the hard work that's going on in the district to get ready for the unknown, I guess. That's almost as good as we can put it, because daily things are changing. Ask the community to be patient, especially our staff, because just as you gather, things are happening very, very quickly. And we're going to try to get the best information we can. We want to assure you that that's what we want to get before we make the decision in terms of what's going to happen come up in August. And with everybody else, we're hoping kids can come back to school. In addition to that, there's been a lot of other real hard work going on the virtual side of it. So again, appreciate everybody that's doing that hard work, getting ready. It's going to be a brand new environment for everybody. And so we'll have to be patient with each other and work hard at kind of pushing this wagon in the same direction. And again, we're hoping the best for all of our stakeholders, our chapter houses as well. And one of the commitments we want to make is to communicate in the best fashion that we can to everybody that's part of the school district. And again, just ask your patience, your input. Don't be shy about letting us know what's going on and what kind of circumstance you have that should be addressed and can be addressed. So don't feel like your voice is muted, even though you're quarantined. Just make your voice heard, because all of us are kind of in the same boat. We want to really make it a safe environment for our staff and for our kids. And so you'll be hearing a lot in the next 3 weeks. But again, I thank you ahead of time for all your patience. And so that's all I've got to say. Again, thank you guys for all the work that you're doing to make this happen, coming up here soon. Superintendent Wallen, you're up.
Thank you. I think that analogy of a wagon is interesting because I don't know if you've ever seen the theory of the wagon with the square wheels. Right now, that's where we are. We're a wagon with square wheels, and we're working every day. Staff is working every day to smooth those wheels out so that we can get to that good operation. And I thank you. I took office, as you said, officially on July 1st. And I was ahead of the race because I'd done some work for the district before that. Every day, each day, I'm reviewing the latest updates to define where we might be going. This morning, as I do every morning, I get up, go to the TV while I'm getting ready and turn on the news to see what the status is. And unfortunately, what's happening in Arizona right now is that the infection rate is up and continuing up at a rather steep climb. However, on the Navajo Nation is going down. So the efforts that President Nez and the Navajo Nation Council are putting forward is hopefully working and making a difference. the governor issued a new executive order, and 40, and it was telling us that we could open school on August the 17th. And you could open before that virtually, which is what we've been gearing up and planning for in that respect. But his newest and latest executive order reduced limited restaurants in-room dining capacity to 50%, and began to set some more things like that to try to minimize the spread. And so we're working with that group to make that happen. The instructional leadership team, which is about all the principals and directors, is meeting daily. Today we met and tried to hammer out a detailed transportation response to going virtual, and constantly adding the latest updates. Yesterday, the day before, we looked at mask. What would that look like? What are our procedures and protocols and systems for mask, remote learning, and so on and so forth. There should be detailed plans coming out from ADE this week. We are required to submit a reopening document, and we'll be working on that for the virtual learning. In the report that I gave you, the blue lines are links to the various documents that we've been working on, and I put them in order so that you could see those. So, for example, the current continuous learning plan, we're still using that as our guidance document. We created our reentry models. We've created our registration and scheduling models, which I will go into at the agenda appropriate time in detail on that. We've done a frequently asked questions. And as Ms. Fowler said, I was at Lachee chapter Monday. Sunday, I was on the phone with Kaibato and Bodaway Gap, Inscription House, and Kaibato, trying to get the word out. And the interesting part, I have to tell you, this is the most awesome chapter meetings I've ever been to, because chapter meetings are usually all the community comes in and votes. So there's 25, 30, 40 people there, whatever they have to have for a quorum. The president has executed an executive order that only the 5 chapter officials get to participate in the meeting. So it was kind of nice to go to the chapter meeting. There's only 5 people there, 5 people running the agenda. So that comment was very, very limited in one respect. I'm sure that probably people didn't represent that, but that was an interesting way to streamline the meeting and move forward in this pandemic situation and get meetings over quickly quickly. So to meet that standard of providing Arizona's greatest education, we're working on that virtual environment, and I'll go into that under that agenda item, the guidance, and where we're headed with that. So that's every day. It's every day evaluating the data that's coming in, making analysis, getting excited or getting sad, and then moving forward to attack the issues, to take those wheels and make them round on that wagon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent Wallen. Appreciate that. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business. We have none. Governing Board consent agenda. Ms. Fowler, could you read our statement concerning the consent agenda?
Most definitely. A copy of this consent agenda is available at the District Administration Office. All items listed will be considered as a unit by the Governing Board and will be approved with one motion. There will not be a separate discussion of these items unless a board member requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second that motion.
Oh, sorry about that. So we have a motion by Ed Franklin, and I believe Des Fowler seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, good. Next on the agenda is the calendar of events. I'll just point out a couple of items. We had set 2 markers for potential special meetings, and it looks like we'll be using using those meetings, but July the 21st, special meeting, regular time, that'd be, I believe, 5 o'clock. Is that what we all understand? And then July the 28th as well. So again, with the comments Mr. Wallen made, day to day, things are changing. So we're going to have to be agile as well. So just remind you of those things as we move forward. Any other things on the calendar people want to talk about? Not too much on there. We're looking at a start date, and we'll have to see how that works out. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the possible adoption of budget expenditure and capital outlay for the 2020-2021 school year. Need a motion and a second for this action item.
I make a motion to approve the possible adoption of the budget expenditures and capital outlay of the 2020-2021 school year.
Unmute D.
I second that motion.
Thank you very much. So we do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, having none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Item B, adoption of revised truth and taxation notice. Another action item. I'll need a motion and a second.
I make a motion that we approve the decision to lower the amount in truth and taxation notice as discussed.
I second that motion.
Okay, the motion is to adopt the truth and taxation notice. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have a motion and a second. Any further comments? Okay, let's have the vote. I'll call for the vote. Everyone say aye.
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 Very good. The next item on the agenda is a discussion item, and it's the reopening plan for 2020-2021. Larry Wallen.
Thank you, Mr. President. And again, if you go back to the document I used in my board report, there's links there to all the work that we've been doing. But basically, when you go in and look at the models that we are proposing to open school in remote. Remember, the governor gave us a executive order saying we could not open in person before April 17th. And we're looking at opening early. So our regular start date was supposed to be August 4th. But as we've evaluated the information coming into us and talking with teachers and surveys and putting that information together, we believe that we need more time for our teachers to present and plan for the virtual learning, for being on the computers. And that's using Google Classroom as their instructional learning platform. So what we're saying is teachers would come back on their regular contract. We would then go through professional development, and especially the week of the 4th, we would have teachers all on their computers building lessons for that virtual environment that right now is going to be on August 10th. So we are recommending that the board consider reopening school virtually on August the 10th. And we have a schedule already set up that we'll be distributing once you give us some feedback. Where registration and then teacher or students come in, pick up their Chromebooks and their iPads and get ready for the virtual learning. So that virtual learning will run for 5 days. I have to tell you what I believe right now. If I had to make a decision today, we would probably be out another 9 weeks because, again, the incline in Arizona is huge, and bringing kids to school and subjecting them to possible infection is just not something that is viable at this point. So we would like to have the board discuss and think about August 10th as the reopening date for virtual learning. Kids will get on their computers and log into their classes. We have schedules for that. We'll be publishing all that once you've given us some direction. Then on August 17th, our initial proposal was to bring kids in to come to school on that date. But again, based on what we're seeing, I don't believe that that's going to be possible. So the instructional leadership team, after considering all the data and where we are, is proposing that we recommend that we continue to do the remote learning scenario on a quarter by quarter basis with the possibility of continuing remote learning until January 4. So we would evaluate it in 9 weeks. And if in 9 weeks, that would be about October, the rates are still too bad, the state is still shut down, we would say continue in the virtual mode. If everything is looking better and positive, then we would ask and be prepared to reopen school for kids to come to school. And then parents will still have to make their decision. So we have virtual school August 10th to August 17th, and then on-the-ground school August 17th, depending on where we are with the CDC guidelines and the infection rate. The third thing that we have done is we have applied to the Arizona Online Institute for a online academy. Now, this is a separate school within Page Unified School District, and it would be called the Sand and Sage Virtual Academy. And it would be just like when you go on TV and you're seeing Primavera or you're seeing some of those other online academies, that's what we would also be offering. That's a virtual academy. There's no breakfast, there's no lunch served for that. Whoever enrolls in that virtual academy must have internet access. And so that would be a separate school that would be running over here. And we're saying to parents who feel like school's not safe, this is an option that you want to think about. But when you enroll in the online academy, you're going to have to stay there for a semester. So you can't transfer back out until January. And so what that would look like is if I'm right now a Pinyon Middle School student and I want to go to the Sage and Sand Online Academy, I would transfer, just like I'll be transferring to another school. I'd transfer over to the online academy. I would stay there. Then in January, if everything's back in as whatever normal is going to be in a wagon with square wheels, I could transfer back into the middle school to my grade level, and all my grades would come with me and work like that. So those are the options at this point. We're going to be asking the board to be very cautious in bringing kids back to school brick and mortar wise when the infection rates are as they are. So that if you look through the documents, that gives you the idea of those three options. Virtual school August 10th, online or on the ground school August 17th if the guidelines allow it, and then a virtual academy that will also open August 10th for those who want to go strictly virtual and not be on the ground at all. I think that kind of outlines where we are with it, but those are some of the pieces. We've done surveys, and so we know parents are interested in the online academy. We know they're also interested in virtual learning, which could take place in the regular school environment. What I am recommending to my principals and my staff is that you prepare your lessons every day as if you're teaching virtually. That way you'll be prepared if someone wants to log into your class and be a part of that. Thank you, members of the board, for allowing us to bring back those 14 teachers to work on developing virtual lessons that will help us start August the 10th. They're hard at work. They're learning the Google management platform, and they're learning how to put all that together, and they will then become trainers for other teachers and how to train on the differences in online format versus paper packets. We may still have to provide some paper packets, but we're working on other solutions for that. If you recall, we have buses with hotspots. Both Brian and I talked to Cell One today, and we could get 200 hotspots and put those, give those to a family that doesn't have internet access, but they do have a cell tower nearby. Cell One is going to send me their their distribution patterns. So I'll have a map and can identify where their weak areas are. We talked today in our transportation work about taking a bus and or a vehicle with a hotspot in it, going out somewhere saying, this is where we're going to be for the next 2 hours. If you want to come and log in and log on to your student account, you can. Each of those hotspots generally can take anywhere from 20 to 50 devices, depending on what that is and what that would look like. So we're trying every way we can to create the opportunity to do that. We're going to be mapping, we are mapping the places in town, you know, outside of our own buildings. We're going to strengthen the Wi-Fi so that you can park in the parking lot and get access. The government complex downtown where the courts are, the county has set up access there. There's laundromats have access, Subway has access, McDonald's, Burger King, all those have access. So we will give the parents a list of access points that you can use. But here's the critical piece that you need to think about as we go virtual. And in all the discussions statewide with other school districts, other superintendents, virtual is going to be with us it's going to change all of education for our future. Whether we stay virtual every day is another story. There could be, you know, different variations of that. But think about this. Just because we give the student a computer and we say, go sit down at the computer and log on and do your lessons, there's got to be an adult working with that kid. They cannot be left alone, especially, you know, first grade, kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. They're going to have to be strong parent support for that virtual learning. Just giving that device does not abdicate that engagement that the parent's going to have with that student to work in that. And so we're going to be providing online videos to help mediate that and make it work. And the plans continue on. Right now, this afternoon or this morning was built around social emotional learning, how we're going to deliver that service, and we're continuing to develop that, how we do videos and so on and so forth. Every day I have a book of operational procedures right in front of me right now related to that. So the critical piece again is August of the 10th is virtual. We open virtual that week. That'll be a practice week. August 17th, depending on where we are, what the board says, we could open on the ground, or we can stay virtual until October or until January, depending on how the virus is affecting everyone. In my chapter meetings that I did Sunday, Monday, the general feedback was we're really apprehensive about sending our kids to school. And it's not that we're afraid of other kids, it's we're afraid they're going to get sick, whatever whatever the transmission vehicle is. And I realize that. I have 2 grandsons that are 8 and 9. We've signed them up for virtual learning in Phoenix at their school district because we don't want to get the opportunity to be infected. And that's really what it's about. I would love to be able to say we have guarantee 100% nobody's going to get infected when they come to our campus. We've got all the checkpoints in place. We have all of the disinfecting points in place. We have all the different protocols in place. We have everything in place. But we all know when we got 2,600 kids coming on campus, the odds of something happening is there. And so we're preparing for that extended contingency.
Hey, Larry, I have a question for you, please.
Yes.
What I'm kind of concerned about is the idea of, like you said before, having to have a parents there, for virtual, and knowing that probably 25% or better of these parents are working parents. So I see that's to be a big problem, and in the long term, I see our kids getting further behind. And you think you got a
Just
plan
keep it
for
there.
that?
No, need it.
Okay, Ed.
Did you hear me, Larry?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Let me see. Yeah, I'm on. That's what you got to balance. So I've got to balance the physical safety of my child in a virtual environment where I've got to help them against going to school with 2,600 kids? And what is the risk factor in getting, in that? And that's just the new norm. We have to balance that out and see where it goes. And parents will probably come up with lots of different ways to have older brothers and sisters or neighbors or whatever they do to work with that child. But I know, especially in K-5, an adult or older siblings' presence on that computer is going to be helpful. We can create as many help desks people as we want that you can call into, and we'll give you direction, but it's still not going to be enough. And so that's the balance, is where does that fit?
All right. Thank you, Larry.
Larry, I have a question for you. When you mentioned you'll be receiving looked into 200 hotspots, when will we be receiving those hotspots?
That would be, if we go that route, that would be during the checkout procedure. Hold on just a minute. I can tell you August the 4th, August 4th through the August 3 through the 5th will be the final distribution of Chromebooks. And so we would have hopefully identified, I can't say hopefully it's not a strategy. We would have identified those soft areas. Here's the trick though. Important to understand, just because you have a hotspot doesn't mean you're going to get on the internet. You got to have cell towers for that hotspot to connect to. So we've got to look at those dead areas, and somebody's going to have to go somewhere to connect to that cell tower or that Wi-Fi that access. It's not just going to be the hotspot will help you if you don't have a hotspot. You have the cell tower, but you don't have the ability to connect. That's the only time it's going to work. If the cell tower is not there, if it's a dark area, hotspot's not going to do any good. You're going to have to move to a location where there is. I talked to Kaibuto chapter, and one of the things I asked them is if students would be able to come and park outside and use their internet access, and they said not at this time. The internet access is strictly for the employees for their work. And so one of the things that I think we are going to do is start reaching out and say, what about if we come out and give you some access points, the Wi-Fi access points outside your chapter, and could you connect your internet to that so other people could go out? That's something we're going to have to work with the chapters on, because most chapters have internet, not as strong as we'd like, but that's a possibility that we could come out and install access points for them. Access points are a couple $100 in some cases, depending on how strong they are, so that they could get on that way. But if you live in those dark spots, you're going to have to move to a location where you can get cell tower access for the hotspot to work, or your phone. If your phone doesn't work, then the cell tower is not there. So that's a whole process that will be trial and error. It's part of the square wheels on that wagon.
What is option or plan B as far as if the 200 hotspots don't go through? What is the backup plan?
Well, I think they will go through. The issue again goes back to, if there's no cell tower, no connectivity there, it won't make any difference. So I just threw 200 as the number out there. Like I said, cell 1 is going to send us their cell tower pattern, so we can look and see where that is. I'm told that in Lachey South that there's now a T-Mobile tower, and that's working really great. So we may need to reach out to T-Mobile as well. We're going to have to map all that out. Again, if we take a bus out, which we can do to create that hotspot, we still got to have the connection to that tower somewhere, somehow.
I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about the surveys that have gone out. How many families have responded to this survey?
Oh, that's a different, okay. I apologize, I wasn't prepared with that one. Let me see if I can find the surveys real quick. I know in the first survey, there was about 686. Whoops, there it was. Survey results. parents. Well, the wrong document. Go back to that again.
I apologize. I didn't mean to sneak that one up on you, but I
No,
know
that's
that,
okay. That's a good one.
yeah, because we've been talking a lot about surveys, and I think it is important that we address, the percentage of families that have done filled out the survey or even called in and so forth. But I do want to
Well,
extend my appreciation to the school staffs for reaching out to families and making sure that families are following through with the surveys.
yeah, and let's put that on the agenda for Tuesday. We can bring you full results of the staff survey, staff survey, parent surveys. We can do a real good report on that one. I apologize, I wasn't ready for that, and that's okay. I'm glad you asked, because that gives us the opportunity to do that. We did surveys through the internet, through School Messenger, but we also did all the schools had a survey phone calls. Those went out, and they had a script that they read and asked parents, and that's what they used to help drive our decisions. I'm looking real quickly at so every day I would ask the group, what's the survey telling you? So on July 8th, the Lakeview said 50% were opting for virtual. Desert View 55.4%, middle school 62%, high school 39%, and then the next day I have the 55, 59, 60, 41. So it tends to stay in that area, and so that's causing us to really look at doing the most outstanding job we can with the Sand and Sage Virtual Academy. But we'll put that on as an agenda item if it's okay with the president and you. That's a great item to report on. What was the extent of those surveys? I know in the first outage there were 686. In the phone calls, that was a whole another group. And I had a call from a parent today who said, I didn't get that. So I went to the high school and said, call this parent right now. She wants to be involved in that survey.
Can I ask a question, Bob?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Wallen, that was one of the things that I would like to see on the agenda item next week, is to see how many people, how many families were we actually able to contact? Because I know the first survey was, like Facebook paged, Facebook/internet based. But I'm more interested in the surveys of the phone calls to the actual parents and the numbers of how many people were we actually able to reach.
Okay. And compare that to how many we actually tried to reach.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's important information to have
yeah,
too.
I would like to know, based on last year's numbers, I'm assuming we are going to contact everybody that was on the roll last year. Is that
Yes, ma'am.
correct?
That's correct.
So based on last year's numbers, how many people did we get a hold of? And the people that we didn't get a hold of, why did we not get a hold of them? Was it because they never answered their phone? Their contact information is not up to date, etc. Because that was one of the follow-up questions I was going to have for you. Is with all these documents before us, it's like, how are we going to get that information out to parents? Are we going to use School Messenger? What's our, how many, I don't know. We seem to always struggle with getting our information out, and we're quickly running out of time. That's my concern.
Well, and that's why I'm giving the big picture and saying August 10th is the virtual school and so on. That they can count on, and then the way we do that. I've been on the radio station once. I was on and talked to them about that. We're going back on again. We also have scheduled Monday evening. I believe it's 6 o'clock. We're going to do kind of like what we're doing here, a virtual town hall, so to speak, and answer questions that way. We got one scheduled for the next 2 or 3 Mondays to be able to do that. And we'll have other people there besides myself talking about this. you have the $1 million question, because I was when I went down to do the radio survey or the radio broadcast, and the radio station here was just awesome. I've always been telling our PR person, you do local radio station, newspaper, you do KTNN, you do Navajo Observer, you do Navajo Times, you do this. And then I found out that a lot of people can't get KTNN here at 660 a.m. And so I'm saying, wow, one of the things we need to do when we do the surveys, we need to tell parents for sure, go to the Page local radio station. We know for sure you can get that. And so that's going to be one of your sources of news. And of course, then there's Facebook accounts that we post to and stuff like that. When I went to Coppermine, I said, wow, did you guys see that awesome insert we did in the Navajo Times for our graduates? And no one had seen it. I was really disappointed. No one had seen it. So I said, okay, what is the way we can communicate with you best? And basically we settled on, come out here and tell us. So we've got to find out ways to do that. And I think one of the areas that we're growing, because we're preparing some videos right now, is video broadcasts as well. And that would be a good topic for the next board meeting, is to spend about 20 or 30 minutes talking about communication plans.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Bob, I'd like to ask another question.
Yeah, just go. Yep.
Mr. Wallens, you mentioned an adult should supervise, or, a strong parent involvement support. One of the things that was mentioned at the Lachey Chapter House was, in some homes, it's not the parents that are raising the children, but it is the grandparents that are raising children. And with the generation gap between the grandparents and our current children, how do we educate our grandparents to utilize the devices that is needed to help our students to be successful with the online instruction? So I appreciate that there was honesty from the officials there, and then with your comment there. And we did mention that we would educate one way or another with our grandparents, and also there was a suggestion of using the bilingual language in Navajo to help some of our grandparents to help their children with the online schooling and the process of utilizing the devices that is needed. And I know that also hotspots was another issue in some areas, and then also the mills as well too. So I just wanted to kind of collaborate and give a little highlight to what was mentioned at the Lachey chapter. But I will ask, for what your thoughts are on what your plans are for the grandparents that are out raising their grandkids, or families that are having issues with online schooling.
Awesome question. And remember, as you well know, Navajo is an oral language, an oral tradition. So the best way for us to prepare those grandparents is through videos and audio recordings, because they're used to listening to, in some cases, watching it on TV. And so that means we're going to have to pull people in and create those audio recordings and video recordings. And I'd rather do the video so they can see and hear at the same time, because that strengthens the retention. So we're going to have to do a video that says, in Navajo, here's how you turn on your Chromebook, here's how you log in, here's how you support your child. And we'll have to get our people together on site when the teachers return and make those videos. We're practicing those videos now, but we're doing them in English. We need to get that translation going. That's the way I would approach it. I would take the strength of the oral language history and use that to do that communication.
Thank you, Larry. I think that is all the questions that I have for you.
Go ahead, Dee.
Yeah, along that line on what
Dee,
Andrew just
I think you're going to have to unmute. No, unmute it.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, now?
Yep.
Along that line, Larry, I was kind of wondering about the tutors. Is there a possibility of some tutors out in the field instead of it all coming directly online from our location?
We'd have to be very careful about social distancing, masking, disinfectants, and making that secure so that that tutor going out is well protected. And it may be that if we decide to move in that direction where we're taking some tutors out, we may just have to buy, my daughter-in-law is a nurse at Phoenix Indian Hospital. She sent us a picture yesterday of her in her full spacesuit, I call it. And we may have to put some of our tutors in spacesuits and send them out where they're going to be around, 5 or 10 kids. So, and protect them and protect the kids at the same time. Remember, those masks that we wear is to protect others from us, not us from them. And so we may have to put that in place to do that as well.
Thank you.
Any other comments, board members? Questions? I'll just finish. You have something? Des?
Well, I have a comment.
Oh, Sandra,
And
sorry.
I think this is one thing we should emphasize with parents and grandparents. I have high confidence in our students' ability to use a tablet and to use a computer. That's, I'm constantly asking my own kids, how do I do this? I don't know how to get this app going. What do I do? And they roll their eyes at me and they show me in 10 seconds how it's done. So I want to emphasize, I have high confidence in our students' abilities, even at 5 years old, to use a tablet and to use a computer and do it 10 times better than their parents and 30 to 100 times better than their grandparents. So what we need parents to do is not so much show their kids how to use this technology. We just need to make the parents aware of making sure that we need the parents to have the kids lock into their lessons rather than video games and YouTube and everything else. That's what we need our parents and our grandparents for. They just need to sit there and need to check if the kids actually did what they were supposed to do, because I have no doubt that they can use the technology. That's where I think the emphasis should be.
Thank you, Ms. Kidman. And I'm sure that's going to be part and parcel of part of the training that goes out and the encouragement that goes out to the parents. Just learn from your kids how to use it, but make sure the kids are using it in the right way. So thank you. That's a good comment. I'll just say a couple of things. We made a decision to turn this into a discussion item for, I think, some obvious reasons. Things are changing day to day, and we want. So my question to Superintendent Wallen was, what's the drop dead date for the board to make a decision? The 28th, he said. So we'll have potentially another discussion on this. We're looking to bring some more resources to the table because I do understand Arizona as being touted as the #1 in terms of COVID in the world. We always strive to be #1. I don't mean to make a joke out of it, but there we are. We're #1 in the world. But that doesn't necessarily represent Page. Just as Mr. Wallen noted, the Navajo Reservation is showing at least a flattening, if not a decrease. Deaths are down tremendously. And Arizona at Page may be a little, everyone has a unique signature, I guess, if you will.
Right.
And to that point, we're trying to put together a medical team that would be from all our partners in Page. We're going to have a first time meeting tomorrow just to see if there's going to be any kind of fruit come out of that. Lucia is going to be involved as well. We have initially 4 responders from the community. And what we'd try to do is put together the best information that we can and then have a team going forward in terms of so that we can at least enhance response time to any kind of situation that we run into once we start the school year off in whatever venue we started off in. So Then there'll be more information that comes to the table. So again, we'll have another informational type discussion as we move on, and then the 28th we'll have it on as an action item when we're going to have to really consider all the input we have. And I know that you're getting input from people all around you. Those that just say we've got to have brick and mortar, those that say we'll have brick and mortar, our kids will wear masks, those that say we need brick and mortar, we don't want our kids to wear masks. I mean, it's all out there. And so it's not going to be an easy decision by any stretch, because we do want some kind of normalcy to this thing. But I think we have to all agree that normal is being redefined all the time. And again, appreciate all the work of the staff. Mr. Wallen, thank you, and board members. You guys are the eyes and the ears, and it's important. Everything you brought up tonight is very, very important. And as we go forward, it's important to keep your ears open for your communities. Yes, Mr. Wallen.
One of the things I learned when I was at La Chi is there's an IHS clinic out there, and I don't know if you reached out to them to come tomorrow. If you're not, then I can try to do that in the first thing in the morning.
Yes,
see if we can get it.
They are they've responded in the affirmative.
Okay.
They will be here.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, are we ready to move on to the next item? Everyone say yay. All right. Next item on the agenda is the Page Unified School District application for Arizona Online Instruction Schools. This is an action item. We'll need a motion and a second. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the PUS application for Arizona Online Instruction Schools and Program for the 2021 school year.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mr. Wallen.
Mr. President, members of the board, again, this is the application for the Sage and Sand Virtual Academy that we are working very diligently to put together. But I wanted you to see that application so that you can understand. Now we have another school in Page Unified School District besides Manson Mesa, because it is a school that operates by itself, but it operates virtually. And we're going to use Edgenuity, it's called, is a program that the district has used through the Manson Mesa as our core academic program. And then we're scrambling to study to get a K-5 academic program. We're looking at something like Odysseyware or something along that line. But the application's out there. It goes through that process, and I wanted you to approve that application, so we're ready to go when it comes to opening that virtual academy on August the 10th.
Okay, board members, any comments, questions? I will say one thing about it. The detail that was included, the work that was done on that was really excellent. And I think that was Dr. Trina, what was her last name?
Hubble. She's going to be the principal. The actual
Right.
work was done by Terry Maurer, the
Great
HR
job.
director, Jeannie Wood, and Lisa Horsley, assistant principal. They're
Boy,
the
I tell
ones
you
that
what.
sit down and wrote.
Yeah, that was a long document and a lot of detail put into that. So great work. All right, we do have a motion and a
Larry,
second. Oh, go
I
ahead.
have a question. How long will this particular online instruction schooling and program be?
Until the board says we don't want that school anymore. So this, yeah, it can go on for as long as we want, 10 years, 20 years, whatever.
And this is a K-12 program?
Yes.
Larry, there's any additional cost for the school?
No, actually brings in revenues. Arizona Online law brings on the attendance, and basically what that looks like is a online student. We will capture 95% of their ADM. So for every kid that's logged into Sage and Sand, we will receive 95% of their attendance based on their actual attendance. In an online school, you have to have a minimum of 25 hours of online activity each week, and it has to be logged. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be on the computer 25 hours, but let's say you have an assignment and your assignment is read chapter 1. Well, we have to log that chapter 1. Where the challenge is in that log process. But no, this will bring in additional revenues to support the academy. And we want to try to make it revenue neutral so that it isn't going to cost the district anymore, but it could actually bring in more monies for the district.
Thank you, Larry.
Hey, thank you for that. Somebody's got a noisemaker. And I don't think it's any of our board members. We're all very, very serious. Any other comments, questions?
I have a question for you.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
am familiar with the Arizona Virtual Academy. And with this online schooling, does this give the opportunity for students to, to advance as far as what is minimally required on their schedule as far as instruction? Are they able to advance and go into other instructions to just challenge themselves?
Yes, they can. And remember, the Arizona Online Academy is about online attendance. So as fast as you want to move through a course, you can go that route. Once you meet it's not based on seat time so much as it's based on online time. But most importantly, when you meet the exit criteria for that class, you pass that final exam, you got that credit. So you can accelerate the number of credits you earn across time. I used that technique when I was a turnaround principal with kids who had difficulty with credits, is getting them to go on and take not only the regular school day, but take another couple of courses online so that they could get their credits back up where they should be.
Thank you, Larry.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, we do have a motion and a second for the approval of the Arizona Online Instruction Schools Program application. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good, thank you. Next on our agenda is item E, revised calendar for 2020-2021. This is an action item. I need a motion in a second.
Make a motion to recommend to approve the revised calendar for FY 2021.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Superintendent Wallen.
Mr. President, members of the board, this is about taking attendance. And the reason I ask you to revise the calendar right now, and you're going to be revising it probably a couple more times. There is a study committee that the governor has put together that is supposed to make a recommendation to the legislature in August about whether we have to have 180 days or we can do a less number of days. So there could be additional time. The critical piece is because we had original calendar starting August the 4th, now we're going to start August the 10th. I'm sorry, yeah, August the 10th. So I need to be able to not take attendance. So 4 through what is it? 4 through 7, because those will show us days we're in school. So we need the start date to become August the 10th. That's really the only revision we want to make right now is the August 10th date. We'll have to put some more revisions into where we're going to have to make up about those 4 days somewhere if the task force that the governor has authorized says we have to do 180 days. So right now I'm just trying to get the attendance counting procedure in place so that we can record attendance on August the 10th.
Any questions?
Well, I have one. Well, what I heard you say was we're just changing one bit at a time.
Yes.
Because we don't know if we're gonna be required to do 180 days. We don't know anything. So we're just gonna change the calendar as we go.
Correct. Right now, because we're starting August the 10th, we have 4 days that we should have been in session, we won't be. So someplace we got to find where those 4 days are going to go if the legislature requires 180 days. We'll get to that point, in August, September sometime.
Well, the good news is that we usually have 3 to 4 days of time built into our calendar.
Yes,
so we might,
yes.
so we might be okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Good. Next item on the agenda is item F, and this is an action item. That's the approval of the recommendation to hire Kevin Anderson as the assistant principal at Desert View. I'll need a motion in a second.
I make a motion that we approve Kevin Anderson as Desert View Intermediate Assistant Principal.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Superintendent Wallen.
Mr. President, members of the board, we're requesting the board to approve Mr. Anderson as the assistant principal. He was interviewed by both Lakeview and Desert View interview teams headed by their principals. They met, and there were 3 other applicants that didn't meet the criteria that we were looking for. Mr. Anderson did, and the principals decided, let's go ahead and focus on Desert View. And so we'll put him there. We'll continue to advertise the Lakeview assistant principal, but we want, again, to make a good decision, get the quality candidate. Mr. Anderson is a teacher in the district, is a parent in the district, very outstanding candidate that we believe will be a real asset.
I have a question. Has Mr. Anderson had any administration experience in the past?
No. So I've got him with none, both principals with none. And so I'm going to be mentoring 3 principals and another assistant principal. There's going to be a lot of mentoring going on. But we believe all the aptitudes are there, all the readiness skills are there for them to be very successful.
Plus, I think it's always a positive to promote and some of our own and, promote within.
Any other comments or questions? Yes,
If
sir.
I could just add to what Ms. Kidman said, that's exactly right. So those assistant principal positions, we want to be feeders into, later administrative work in the district. So grow your own, I guess, is the language. We want to really build that strong path so that the district is not always going outside and looking for people.
I strongly believe in growing our own, and I think it is very important. But I look at our administration from Desert View to Lakeview. I would like to see more diversity in our administration.
Absolutely. I think I totally agree with you. And there are some certain facts. You work with the individuals that apply for the job and that meet the requirements. And so we need to encourage a lot of our successful Navajo folks that graduate, or those that are in the force to step up and apply for jobs. So thank you, Ms. Fowler.
Hey, Larry, I know we want everybody to be successful at this. And I know you said it's going to be a mentor. What I think would be good for the team here is to see the action plan, for these individuals. And I think that's one of the big things to be successful. You got to have a strong action plan. And we would love to see that within the next 30 days or so.
Thank you.
Good comment. Any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All not in favor. Abstain from the motion, Mrs. Fowler. Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda, item G, breach of certified contract by Gary Skubel for the 2021 school year. This is an action item. The recommendation that is being made is to deny the request. This is an action item. I'll need a motion and a second for that. Do we have a motion for the recommendation to accept the recommendation as written?
I make a motion to accept the recommendation.
Okay, so the recommendation, to be clear, is to deny the request to be released from certified contract. Is that correct? Okay, I'll need a second.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Superintendent Wallen.
Mr. President and members of the board, that recommended action is based on precedent in the district in normal times. And I'm asking the board to reconsider that position because when you so graciously gave me the authority to get the assistant principals on board, there was a very clear message to be revenue neutral. And so by Gary leaving, we can not fill that position or transfer someone else into that position. And I think it's okay for him to leave. It's okay for him to move on with his career path. I know there's penalties. I've over my years put those penalties in, but they serve no good to do anything. You know, why would you want to force someone to stay when they don't want to? We believe his leaving adds to my $200,000 of recovered funding that I'm trying to put together so that I can show the dollars for replacement assistant principal. And I would ask the board to, I don't know how you do that, either to vote no and create a new motion, or just let Mr. Gary go and be on his way without any penalties, because it helps us, because we got to reduce positions.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I'm actually glad to hear you say that, because I was thinking along the same lines. When we put in those penalties, it was because during times where we couldn't hold on to enough teachers. And if the board allows, I would like to make a new motion, actually. Or I guess what we can do is we can just vote against the motion and then
Correct.
do a new motion.
Correct. Any other comments before we move on Mrs. Kidman's recommendation?
None.
Okay. And so, Mrs. Kidman, you are prepared to make a new motion, but let's call.
Okay, so let's discuss that. Oh, well, go ahead.
Yeah, we need.
So we need to be very clear on how the vote is affected, because we already have a negative, and so we gotta make sure that we actually vote the way we need to vote.
That's correct. And so with the motion and the second, that means we would deny the request. And so to vote no would turn this recommendation down.
Correct.
And then we could make the motion to approve.
Right, because if we vote no, then the motion fails. If we vote yes, it goes ahead and it's done.
Right. Okay, so I'll call for the vote. All in favor? None in favor, all opposed. Okay, so the motion does not carry, and by nature of that, you were going to make a motion to
Okay, so
approve it.
I will make a motion to release Mr. Gary Russell Scubel from his 2020-21 contract without penalty.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item H is a leave of absence request submitted by Laverne Sosi for 2020-2021. Again, this is a leave of absence. We need a motion and a second. It's recommended that once again, that the governing board deny this request. I'll need a motion to
I'll make a motion to deny the request for leave of absence submitted by LaValle Sosa.
Okay, and second, please. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Superintendent Wallen, please.
Mr. President, members of the board, I apologize for tradition and breaking tradition, but I want you to think about this. This is a request for a leave of absence. And what that means is that in the 21-22 school year, if that person wants to come back, we will have a position for them. Okay, think about that. We need to deny the request, or my recommendation is that you deny the request for a leave of absence, not because the person can't come back. They can reapply for any position they want to, but we know that in this spring, we're going to be closely looking at every position. And if I am having to, if God forbid, we have to risk somebody, but then you have somebody who's you've already said is going to come back, what a contradiction that sets up. So I'm saying, no, we because of our need to reduce staff through attrition, we need every possible angle we can get. And so a leave of absence is just not in the best interest of the district at this time. And so
Can I say something? Usually we only guarantee leave of absence for like, not just, well, for medical conditions. So I didn't see that in there.
That's correct. It's not for medical conditions. There is other, I think, in that.
Yeah, there are several other ones by the guidelines, depending on how long the person been an employee. But a leave of absence for personal reason usually doesn't extend, in most cases, around 12 weeks. But Larry, you can probably tell us why.
She did not want to do family medical leave. Her request is, it should be in your documentation, is to take care of grandkids. And she wants to commit herself and to that. And I commend her for that. That is tremendous. However, holding the position is what I'm looking at, not the person. Please separate the person. It's not the person. It's holding that position that I have questions about.
Larry? My question is,
Dee, you need to unmute yourself.
is she aware of what we're discussing?
Yes, she was offered the opportunity to request family medical leave to take care of grandkids, and she denied that request.
She knows when she comes back within a year that she might not have a position. She's aware.
Well,
She's
in no case would she be guaranteed that same position. When she comes back, she would be guaranteed a position wherever we had one in the district. And based on everything I'm seeing, I'm not sure we're going to have any positions in the district.
She's aware.
Dee, she would be made aware following the board meeting of the board's decision on her request.
Yeah, and because if she wants to continue with her, proposal to take care of family, she would just need to submit a resignation.
Okay.
Board, any further questions or comments?
I just have a question. I understand you did say, to separate the person from the position, but how many years has this individual been an employee of the Page Unified School District?
Lots.
Out of curiosity.
Lynn, do you remember? It was lots, I think.
I don't know the exact number of years, but I know she has been with the district for many years.
And her present position with the district?
I believe she's possibly a parapro.
Parapro.
Okay. Library tech, I think.
Okay.
At Desert View Intermediate School.
Okay, yes.
Any other comments or questions?
So what's the impact of that decision? She still has her contract. She can still report to work and go to work. Okay. This is just saying we're not going to hold a position a year from now for you.
Larry, was she asking for a whole year or a specific period of time?
She was asking for the year.
The whole year? Okay.
So if this wasn't granted, she'd still have other options to stay with the district if she wanted to.
She
But of
still
course,
has her.
the
Correct.
forcing function is really to be that she has to be with the grandkids.
Right. Her contract is still good. She'd still be with the district. If she decides she wants to do the other thing, then she would need to resign.
Okay, and if she resigned, okay. Yeah, I
That'll come
understand
back
that.
to you. That'll come back to
Sure,
you.
sure. And again, just to make it clear, she was had full discussion with this with Dr. Maurer.
That's my understanding. Yes.
Okay, and so she's aware of all of the different paths.
That's correct.
Okay.
Larry, is she eligible for retirement yet?
I do not know that. That's a possibility. I do not know at this time.
Okay.
Okay, any further questions, board members?
Bob, I just want to mention, just knowing the family, I know that the grandchild's parents are actually staff members of our school district. So just FYI.
Right. Okay. All right, any further questions? We have a motion. We do have a second, and to be clear, and that is to deny the request of a leave of absence. And we're aware that she has had full disclosure with Dr. Maurer, and she could have options after this once she hears the board decision. Okay, I'm going to call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All again opposed? 1D, 2. So the motion passed. All right. Next item on the agenda is the future agenda items. I don't know if anybody wants to go through this with all of the questions that are on the table at this point. We're going to be really occupied with opening and COVID and various things like that. So, but make sure if you have your future agenda items that you still want to have on there, let's make sure that we keep them for future work study sessions. I know that several on that list, and you can take a look at the list, are being carried over, and again, because of these times. So anybody have anything they want to mention? Mr. Wallen.
Just from the discussions, the reopening school agenda item, a report on the surveys, and we'll need to add a personnel line for that agenda in case we have to make any decisions.
Okay. Anybody
So
else?
that's 3 I have.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Looks like we're to item number 10. That's an action item.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Got a
I
motion?
second that.
And we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you, board members, and thank you all of you who've joined in on virtual, online. And hey, you guys stay safe. Let's keep our ears open for our communities. Thank you.